Hi, and thank you for joining me in another month's wrap-up. The first book I read in November was Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Since it is a very short book, I don't want to give away too much, but essentially we follow Keiko, a woman in her 30s who has been working at a convenience store for over 18 years. She feels the pressure of fitting into society's norms of getting a proper job, getting married, having kids, and her family and friends worry about her and try to fix her, but she can't quite understand why people all concern themselves so much with her life, and she kind of wishes that they would just tell her what to do to make them happy, and then she can just move on with her own life. So the overall story is very slice of life about a woman working in a convenience store and how she can't seem to get the hang of what the world considers normal. But it is also a social commentary on society's norms and expectations, on conformity, and how if you don't fit that image, both society and the people in it that do conform tend to be really hard on you. It also touches on things like victimization, the way people get influenced by the people they hang out with, and things like that. And so all of this is packed into this very short and seemingly light story about a woman who works in a convenience store, which makes it pretty amazing. If you're a fan of Japanese literature in general, I would recommend reading this one as well. It is very short, and I think that the author has managed to pack a huge amount of atmosphere and also characteristics of the main character in this. I did feel like some things were brushed over a bit quickly and would have liked some more depth to some of the side characters, but I think that would make it an entirely different book. So all this to say that it's a quick read and that I would recommend reading it. It might be considered a bit of an odd and quirky book, but it will bring you some moments of laughter and also darkness. For the spread, on the left side I used some of my Japanese stationery that I had been holding on to. I doodled a little onigiri, my personal go-to at the convenience store, and then on the right side I used this bright green colored paper to write down some of my thoughts, and I used a little bit of the same stationery paper at the bottom and then wrote out the title in a slanted font. The second book I read was Ace of Spades by Farida, IPK Miday. I love this book. When I heard that this was Gossip Girl meets Get Out, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but it is exactly that. There is sex, drama, legacy kids meet outrageous, scary racism in this dark academia young adult thriller. I could not put this down. It is phenomenal in my opinion. I haven't been this hooked on a book in quite a few months now, so I was really happy to read this. The story is set in a private high school where in their senior year, Devon and G, the two black teens at school, become the victim of an anonymous texter who spreads rumors about them. Reluctantly becoming friends, they try and figure out who this person is and how to stop them. And I suggest going in not knowing any more than that and just letting the story take you. It is a great book and I can't wait to read more of the author's work. For the spread, I really try to channel that season 1 Jenny in me, making invitation for Blair's parties and really leaning into the fancy masquerade secret parties on the Gossip Girl aesthetic meets the dark side of this book. So on the left side I used a dark red paper as the background. I cut up and made these kind of playing cards to spell out the letters of the title, Ace of Spades, and then decorated them and then put them on top of the paper. On the right side, I ripped up some paper. I thought that the distressed look and the burnt edges would be appropriate for the themes of this book. And then I made a final Ace of Spades card where I wrote down some of my thoughts. With books like these, ones that I really like, I never tend to write a whole lot in my reading journal because I just know that I will remember how I like them and why I like them. So keeping it very brief for this one. So last I read the manga Nijigahara Holograph by Inio Asano. To be honest, I am still confused about what I just read. I don't think I really fully understood the plot nor the message, and from reading some of the comments, I think I'm not the only one. But if any of you read it and feel like you understand, please let me know in the comments what you thought. I am considering giving it a second chance, but I feel like I need some clues. I will read out the blurb to give you a more coherent explanation than I could give as to what it is about. Butterflies ominously proliferate as children whisper rumors of a mysterious creature lurking in the tunnel behind the school. To appease its wrath, they decide to offer it a sacrifice, a human one. But this is only the beginning of Nijigahara Holograph, which takes place in two separate timelines and involves the suicidal Amahiko, Kota, the lost-struck bully, their teacher, Miss Sakaki, whose heavily bandaged face remains a mystery, and many more brothers, sisters, parents, co-workers, teachers, aggressors, and victims who are all inextricably linked to one another. 10 years later, all will have to face what they've done or suffered through, and maybe the end of the world. I should warn that it includes a lot of explicit content and very graphic violence, so do take care if you decide to read it. For the spread, I kept it very simple since I was at a bit of a loss for this one. I divided the setup into 3 panels. On the top one, I drew some butterflies flying around. I used Amanda Rachley's very useful tutorial for this, so I will leave a link to that in the description box below if you want to see a better step-by-step as how to draw these. In the bottom panel, I sketched out the landscape, which was a common thing in the manga, and then in the middle, I wrote out its title. I realized that actually everything I've read this month has been increasingly dark, from Convenience Store Woman at a reasonably dark to Ace of Spades being very dark, and then Nijigahara Holograph just being on an entirely different level. So I think that for next month I will try to go for a bit more comforting reads, which are my go-tos for December usually anyways. And if you don't want to miss the next wrap up, make sure to subscribe and hopefully see you there.